Hi, my name is Gabriel and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'll be talking to you about my global learning project, my first interaction with my partner, Ben Sun. As I stated before, he's from Beijing, China. He's a fifth-year senior studying education. All right, let's get started. First, I'll be talking about the differences between my school and his high school experience. First, Ben went to a boarding school and I went to a public school. The first thing we talked about, because we looked at some pictures and I brought up prom. And as he stated to me, they didn't have prom when they were in high school. They just basically, all they did was go to school, go to graduation, and that was it. He said that his culture wasn't that big on dancing, and if they did have any dancing, it was like called a dancing party, but it really wasn't that popular. And here at my school, prom was a huge thing. People did promposals. They went all out on getting tux, dresses, getting cars to drive to prom, and activities for after prom. So it was a big surprise to me that Ben's high school and his culture, they didn't celebrate prom that much. But for him, it was a big surprise that prom was so much of a big thing for our high school experience. The next thing is Ben lived on his campus and I did not. I lived at home. And there, the genders were kind of separated. They had like they were in the same classrooms, but they had different living spaces. So, like, the male students were on one side of the campus with living, and the females were on the other side of campus with living. And another big thing for this reason was because their school was mostly against having relationships during the school. And I was surprised with that because really our school district didn't really care about students dating in school. So that was a real big surprise for me. In their classes, they didn't leave. They had 40 students that Ben stated that they stayed in the classroom for all 3 years that they stayed in class together. They didn't switch. They had the same classes, so they talked to the same people every day for 3 years. And the thing he stated was that the teachers switched classrooms. So the students stayed in one classroom from 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. and the teachers rotated. And that was a big surprise to me because, well, actually we had both. The students rotated and the teachers rotated. But I thought it was a big thing for me because you really don't get to know anybody if you stay in the same classroom. And for me, like in my school, rotating through different classrooms, I got to meet new people, even up to my fourth year of in high school. So that was really crazy for me. And another thing was the year difference. In Ben's culture, they only go to high school for 3 years, and in my culture, here in America, we go to school for 4 years. So that was really a big difference between our different cultures and where Ben comes from and where I'm from. And also, coming to college, many of my friends also came to the same college as I did. I know I graduated with over 500 kids, and at least more than 50, if not more than 100 of the students from our graduating class go here to Michigan State University. Whereas for Ben, out of his class, he only knows 4 people that came to America with him, but two of them are in Maryland and one is in Illinois. There is no one who came to Michigan State with him, so I was a big surprise because you basically have to go to this new place that you don't really know about, a different country, without anybody else, any support. So that was a big difference and a big surprise. It's kind of scary. Another thing Ben stated is sometimes students from middle school will follow you to high school as well. So he said that one teacher he had in middle school was his teacher in high school as well. And they basically like kept tabs on you, kept up with you, make sure you were doing good in school, making sure you were getting to class on time, and if you were doing bad, gave you tutoring and things like that. That was like their homeroom teacher. Another thing was that Ben class period was from 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. And that was a big surprise because for me in high school, I only went to school from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. So a 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. was over 12 hours just being in school. And that was so, like, I don't know how I could be in class the entire time. Another thing Ben stated was that he had a group of Muslim students that was in his school. But when the lunchroom, because Muslim students, they can only eat halal food, they were separated. The Asian students were not allowed to go into the same cafeteria as the Muslim students. And I thought that was kind of weird because that's a little bit of segregation. So I didn't think that was a good thing. And another thing, Ben's school thought that it was extracurricular activities were not as important as my school district did. I had a lot of extracurricular activities. You could do sports and things like that. Ben's school also did have sports, but they didn't think it was as important as for my school. Sports and extracurricular like dancing, singing, and things like that, they thought it was a big deal. In his school, he stated that students were taught the exact same information for all 3 years, whereas my school, you could basically pick a track if you wanted to go into the arts, if you wanted to go in business, if you wanted to go into like social work and things like that. There was a different path for different people. As I talked about the differences, we did have similarities in my school. We both had large number of students in our school. I had 2,500 or more students in my school, where Ben had 3,000 or more in his school. As I stated before, in their classes, teachers moved, and in my school, teachers and students moved. Another thing is that the class period before actually school started, a homeroom, so where like you take attendance, hear announcements and things like that. My school also had that. That's another thing. Even though this isn't a good thing in sports school system, my partner's athletes were given like benefits of the doubt with grading and tests and things like that. So like in the school district, athletes were basically passed on when and not really looked at for intelligence. They were just looked at for sports, and like they were good at sports and things like that. And another thing, the athletes were able to play nationally and locally, like play against teams in their city or go and play against teams around the country. So that was another thing. And things I can connect to through the class, the culture between the two differences was that some of the school system playing away into the relationships. That was a big difference. Ben's school didn't want relationships inside the school system, whereas my school district didn't really care about that much. Or also separating the genders, keeping the students living spaces in different areas. Also, Ben lived on the campus and I different. That was a different culture aspect. Another thing, genders, yep, we're not separated. We're able to go to new classes and things like that. So my school being able to meet new students as you go to different classes, whereas Ben's culture, you stayed in the same classroom with the same people for all 3 years. And the school districts, the school districts systems can be different from different areas. Where I explained before, in my partner's school system, they did not really acknowledge extracurricular activities, as they thought they were distractings to the learning for the students, which can be a fixed mindset as to where only the learning is important. But in my school system, they believe that extracurriculars will help you learn better, help your mind grow better, with the growth mindset that other things other than being in the classroom will help a student's intellectual growth. Thank you for watching my vlog about my global learning project, about my first interaction with Ben. I hope you come back to see more. Have a good day.